Welcome to another episode of 12.5 Minutes. My name is Jared Kelly, and I'm with Liz Whitehead.
Hi, Jared.
Hi, Liz. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Excellent. Excellent. I knew you were, but I wanted to double check because we have an interesting conversation that we need to have, and that is where we started and where we're headed, right? Last year, basically, we started this show with a very strong intention to elevate and uplift our founders and like us and those business owners who have a dedication and commitment to making an impact in their communities. And then how we can get those businesses to connect with corporations and buyers who are interested in their products or services. And that was an amazing stretch of opportunity to connect with so many different people across the country. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it was great. And we were able to make some connections with people in our network. But things have changed. The environment we're in is different. But I think that it kind of highlights what we were doing before, which is like most of the connections we're making were in our network of other business owners and nonprofit organizations and things like that. So I think a couple of things converged that make this more important now, more substantial rather than less.
Right. And we had a phenomenal list of um, founders that all gave a perspective about where they were with their business, and not only that, but we found ways to connect people with each other, right? To converge these networks as you were describing, and looking at ways where businesses can work with each other, small businesses can work with each other, but also, there may be opportunities that we don't even know that people that watch the show, friends or people within our network that particularly have an interest in one third, if not two thirds of the panel, and that would be either they love me or they love you or they love the guests or there's a combination of all that.
Well, at the end, the level.
I, I think there's more love for you, and I piggyback off of that love. So I appreciate you introducing a lot of those individuals that we were able to have a conversation with and that joined us. That joined us without like they signed up even before we had a full episode produced. So that was very, very impressive looking back on it. And I think that you have such a strong network and the power to connect people that's what makes the difference. That's what's giving us the glue, not only for the show, but then also looking forward to how next year we're going to need to lean on individuals like you that are the nucleus for small businesses. So that's my thought.
That's nice of you to say. I think that's true. I think we're definitely going to have to lean on each other, given this new environment. And I also think we're going to have to delve deeper into our connections. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of people that I introduced to you, but then there are people that we both know. And even from them, learning about where they're going with their business. Like I'm thinking about Steve and Bernita, who we knew before, but we're mentioning sustainability and things they're looking forward to in the future that I don't know. I'm not sure I would have known unless you have that one-on-one or two-on-one time.
Right. And I think there's a level of impact that we start to have discussions about that forced, if not encouraged, the businesses to think about in terms of their presentation, because we can always talk about capabilities and what services we bring to the table, what our history is with, the company or where it was founded. But we start talking about growth and impact in the communities that we care about and that we serve. I think it forces a new conversation and a little bit of I would say, a nuance to sharing, right, and looking internally about this vehicle that we call a business that we care about and how it can be a better service to audiences that are beyond, just clients or customers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think about the people that brought us great data, like Fonta had great data, like a bunch of our interviewees did. And that makes for such a rich conversation because you are telling the story, like you said, not just like this is what we do every day, but this is the impact that it's having. And that's something that's not based in identity politics, right? Like it's not based in this is who I am, or I got into this business because I'm cute. Like
Right.
there's real stuff that they're doing. And that's, if you appreciate a bottom line, you will appreciate that kind of it.
Right. Right. And I think there's a business case for change management that is going to be very important to all of us, and that change management is not only internally in terms of how we operate, but looking at the changing landscape, right? The changing landscape of politics, the changing landscape of competition, what we perceive as competition, and then also how do we look at business development? Do we look at business development from a standpoint of our client base and thinking we need to add new clients, or do we need to abandon certain industries, or perhaps even evaluate our client relationships to determine if they have a lifetime value longer than what we truly expected, or is it changing? Perhaps what we thought of, in terms of clients that have been around for 1 year, 2 year, maybe even longer, will they be clients in the next 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, I think that's really important for people to be thinking about. We've all heard about the big companies in the industry that are like, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to do supplier diversity, or we're not going to do it in the way we have been doing it. And so I think there's a change management aspect there, which is okay, like, and we've heard that, like, we hear things, but we don't really know how it's going to turn out, right? Like we hear, okay, this company is going to do it, but they're just not going to call it that. And then this company, well, all those people are gone, and like they're not going to do it at all. But they still have goals that are wrapped up in it. So how is that not going to happen? So there's a change management aspect there, which is like, as you say, are these clients going to be around? Like, is this a way in for me?
Right.
But then there's also with like between each other, like, well, where are we going to spend? So are we going to spend our money with these companies then? If they're not doing business with us, are we going to spend money with them? There is some power that we have in the collective. And so there's a change management around, are we going to use it and how?
Right. I think that is important on two levels. One is relationships, right? And what we all know, I mean, the idea that you can look at relationships and say, I'm publicly in a relationship with someone, or publicly in a relationship with this business, and we like that. That's comfortable. But now, if corporations are going to make us all sneaky links and just go behind, you know, behind the scenes and say, hey, we'll do business with you because we want to encourage this, but don't tell anybody, then that's a whole different level of relationship management that we need to kind of understand and digest, and then figure out how we feel about that. Because certainly, we don't need to be held up as case studies of success. But what I don't want also is this scenario of hypocrisy, right? And changing faces, if you will. Great little R&B group, by the way. Side note. But my other thought around this whole thing is something that you and I have discussed several times, and that's the economics. The economics are the driver, right, in every scenario. So as we connect the dots, you just mentioned, from a consumer standpoint, do we make value-based decisions on how we spend our money and who we spend our money with? I know in some states, the companies, those large big box stores, are more prevalent than others, and they're going to continue to shop there, even though that wouldn't be my
You know,
interest.
they just discontinued their DEI.
Right, right. So you have that type of decision. Then we have the decisions, as you just mentioned, where a business can do business with another on the B2B side. Are we making decisions about who we do business with in terms of collaboration? And then are we strong enough? Are we strong enough to hold our clients accountable for a certain level of respect? Or are we just willing to accept whatever money it is, even though they abuse us in the process?
Yeah, I know. We're all going to have to be doing that. I do think it's a time. So I'll say this and then hope I can hold myself to it, but where you do have to align closer with your values. We talked about this right after the election, but I read this essay where the author said that every time you do something that doesn't align with your values, that creates a trauma. And so, like, how traumatized do you want to be? Or is it a time to be like, yeah, let me look at these, compostable party plates that Flavia is making. Like, let me look at these things. I can closely align with my values. It might be, again, a change management issue. It's always hard to shift, but there are ways that we can do it.
Yeah. And I think reminding each other of those things will be a part of our network.
No.
And
you're going to hold me accountable? Oh, no.
yes, yes. It's just as bad as an accountability partner in at the gym, right? Like, if you're going together, then you stay together. But as soon as one person gets tired and they don't feel like going, and they have every reason to stay at home and eat, cupcakes and ice cream, it breaks the strength of both sides. So I think that's one thing that we can count on moving into season 2 of 12.5 minutes is to hold each other accountable while also holding our guests accountable for their side as well.
Accountability.
Yes, I can't say that, but it's hilarious. You might you might have invented a new word there, but fumblerooski. That's all I got. All right. That's it for us for this episode of 12.5 minutes. We're looking forward to seeing all of you and interacting with all of you as we get into season 2 of this awesome podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jared L. Kelly, and this is Liz Whitehead.
Bye.
Bye for now.